And Tracy Lynn Cutler and Kurt Dowdle are here to talk about an 8-cow woman deserves an 8-cow man, and I guess this is appropriate because we're all in the buzz literally of the World Cup and thinking about all these classic African tales and situations. But for those of us who don't understand what is going on here, tell us a little bit about the 8-cow woman.
Well, the original story was written by Patricia McGurr back in 1965, and it was featured in Women's Day magazine. And it's a beautiful love story of a man who offered 8 cows for his wife when the going rate was 2 to 4. And because of his generous offering, there was a tremendous outcome of love that everybody admired and envied. Well, we took that story and used it as a metaphor. Today, we don't give cows. What do we give when
Thank goodness, because I don't think I could fit one in my. I don't think I could fit 8 in my living room.
But you can fit 8 characters, and that's what it's about. We used cows as a metaphor, and we took hundreds of surveys and asked people one question after we gave them a brief synopsis of the story and said, okay, what are the 8 cows today? And we got back 8 character traits that people think are important for a sustainable relationship.
And Kurt, you said you guys did hundreds and hundreds of these surveys, and you really came up with a core that over and over again people repeated, men, women, all across the country.
Some of our cows actually turned out to be composites. For instance, our first cow that we came up with was the confidant cow, or trusted friend. We had people that says, I'm looking for a friend and I want somebody to be really trustworthy. Then you have the cash cows, financially responsible. The holy cow is a spiritual cow. The wow cow, now that one was the hardest one to find because it was different on every survey. We would have 6 or 7 things that were always consistent, and then must love animals, must want to travel or something. And we found that that's the wow cow. That's the cow that makes you unique and special.
It's just that one thing that somehow leads to compatibility with the other person.
Exactly.
Now, when you're talking about these cows, do the cows, I mean, it's tough talking about it, but do all these character traits have to mesh completely?
Well, I would like to answer that. For instance, the confidant cow is a trusted friend. If you only have one person that's trustworthy in a relationship, is the relationship going to have trust? So what we found is that literally you do need to have all 8 cows to make it work, because if you have 2 people, one person's financially responsible and the other one isn't, you got problems. So they're broad enough and specific enough, yet at the same time that each person does need all 8 cows.
And Tracy, talk a little bit about so you'd heard this story
Yes.
of the 8 cows, and how did you decide that this was going to be a book project, and how did you go about doing these surveys? Where did you get the responses from?
Well, how it all got started was we were friends in high school, and we reconnected about almost 30 years later, and we were just talking about friends and what had happened in their lives, and one person came up in particular, and the comment was made, she's an 8-cow woman, we hope she gets an 8-cow man, and she had just lost her marriage. And he, being a writer, said, hey, that sounds like a great title for a book. And I was all over it. I was very passionate about trying to keep relationships going and lasting, and having them not just being endurance, but being fulfilling.
And why is that something that you were interested in? What does it give people a little bit about your background?
My background is my marriage failed. And Kurt uses a wonderful example of they really didn't understand the space shuttle until it blew up. And then they really dissected it and found out what was wrong. And that's what I was personally doing with my marriage, and a lot of my friends who were experiencing the same thing. I thought, you know what? If there's anything I could do to help someone else down this road so the same things don't happen to them, I want to do something. I'm the kind of person, and so is Kurt, and so is Dr. Ty Erickson, that when something bad happens, we try and turn it into a positive. So this is our offering to help others from the experiences that we've learned. And so you've actually got the expertise of a woman, a man, a doctor, and hundreds of people that we surveyed, both with a physical survey and just personal interviews.
And so the book is structured chapter-wise, going over each different cow and each different character trait. What sort of things did you find that were surprising when you were doing this research?
I think the most surprising thing we found is a cow that you don't want. And that was what we call the mad cow. The mad cow represents addictions or addictive behavior. And what we found is that some people can have really great character and one major addiction, and that addiction starts eating away at their cows. They no longer can be trusted. They're just blowing all their money on their addiction and things like that. And we found that was a very, very sad situation, and yet it was very prevalent. And so in fact, when we tell people about the mad cow, some of them laugh, but some of them laugh only because
they've seen it before.
They experienced it.
Yeah.
Now, 8 seems like an awful lot of characteristics that have to come together to make a relationship work. I mean, is this something that couples can create cows where there weren't cows at the beginning?
Yes, in fact, we address that in the book, and one of the points that we make is you don't have to have a whole herd of full-grown cows. 4 full-grown cows and 4 calves is still a herd to be proud of. None of us are perfect. We're all in process of becoming. And so the point is that you want to have the desire to grow that calf into a cow. For example, we give a boy who's in college, for example. He doesn't have any money, but the fact that he's going to college, he's working a job, and he's trying to better himself, and he's being very frugal. He's driving an old car instead of one that he's paying huge payments on. Those are things that a young woman could look at and go, you know what, I bet you he's going to have a pretty good cash cow someday. In contrast to someone who's like driving the hot sports car with, payments up to here and skipping classes and, using daddy's money unwisely. Those are something a young lady or a young man, it goes both ways, could look at and say, maybe a red flag. So, but I do challenge people. I say, show me one of these cows you don't need to have a marriage or any kind of a relationship work. And when people sit down and really look at the cows, it's hard for them to choose one to ignore.
So what's been the reaction since the book has come out? I mean, have you gotten more stories of people saying, "Oh, this saved my relationship," or it moved me into, it made me realize this wasn't the relationship for me?
That's the interesting thing about the book is we've had nothing but positive comments on the book. In fact, we actually invite people to read the book and give us negative comments because we really want the book to be something that is realistic. And as people respond, we glean from that. We've made a few editorial changes as we go to make the book better, but people's stories are what this book is all about. It's all about reality and not just something that we've got in a back room and wrote a book on.
Do you feel, do you get stories from people who say, I looked at this and I read this book, I looked at my relationship and I realized I didn't even have the 4 cows and it ended the relationship? Do you take that as a good thing or a bad thing? Somebody who said, I thought I was happy, and then I realized, I wasn't.
We actually had an email the other day from a girl from Mexico, and she said, I married my husband because he had a great wow cow. He's really good at sports. But as I look at this, I realize he's a few cows short. And then she said, I'm a few cows short, but now we're working on getting our cows because we really want to be together long term.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming in. If people want to pick up this book, where can they get it?
They can get it at Costco. They can get it at Deseret Book. They can get it at the book table in Logan. They can get it
Pretty much any
pretty much
bookstore.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the highest compliments is that most of the time when people read it and they talk to us, they come back and they buy multiple copies because they want to share the message with their children and siblings and the people they love. And so you did comment how short the book was, but that was by design. We wanted to make it reader friendly. You can get through this material in about 2 hours and your life can be changed immediately.
Wow, that's wonderful. Thank you guys.